Chapter 1, The Weight of Prophecy in the Hall of the Gods. Feel the ground tremble beneath your paws. It's not an earthquake. It's your own weight. The frigid air of Asgard cuts through your thick fur, but it's the gaze of the gods that freezes the blood in your veins. They don't see a cub. They see a sentence. You were born from darkness. From the womb of Angrboða, the giantess of Jötunheim, and from the restless blood of Loki, the god who walks in the cracks between order and chaos. There was no golden cradle, no sacred songs to lull you to sleep. There was the howling of the wind cutting through mountains of ice and the heavy silence of a destiny already woven by the Norns before your first breath. When the Aesir decided to bring you to Asgard, it wasn't out of affection. It was out of strategy. If the threat sleeps under our roof, we can watch over the prophecy, they said. And you were taken as a prisoner disguised as a guest. In the beginning, he was just a clumsy little wolf. His golden eyes reflected the bonfires of Odin's hall. He ate from the hands of a few. He slept near the doors, listening to the sagas sung by the skalds. But his body did not obey the laws of mortals. With each passing lunar cycle, his muscles stretched. His jaw widened. His howl, once a sharp whine, became a muffled thunder that made the mead goblets tremble on the oak tables. Only one dared to look him in the eyes without averting his gaze. Tyr, the god of war, of honor, of the pledged word. While the others retreated when you approached, Tyr advanced. His hands, calloused by the sword, did not tremble as he offered raw meat. He did not speak with flattery. He spoke with the raw truth of the battlefield. Grow, but know your place, his silence seemed to say. And you understood. It was not a request. It was a pact. You learned the smell of his blood, the sound of his breathing, the firmness of his steps. In a pantheon of masks and secrets, Tyr was the only real thing. But the reality of Asgard is fragile. The gods are masters at hiding fear behind decrees and smiles. You feel it. You feel it when Odin watches you from afar, his single eye calculating, weighing, measuring how close you are to the end that destiny has woven on the loom of Yggdrasil. You feel it when the Valkyries change course to avoid crossing your path. You feel the silence that falls over the hall when their claws scratch the stone. They don't see a companion. They see Ragnarök walking on four legs. And that hurts. Not a physical pain, but the cold pain of isolation. You didn't ask to be chaos. You didn't ask to carry in your veins the blood of the god who breaks oaths and the giantess who spits curses. You only wanted to be. To hunt, to run under the pale northern sun, to hear the wind in the trees of Idavol. But the Wyrd is not a river one chooses to navigate. It is an abyss that digs beneath your feet. The whispered advice in the shadows becomes orders. The glances become vigils. And one day, you realize the air has changed. The sound of the URU blacksmiths, hammering not weapons, but thick, heavy metal, echoes from the depths. It's not for the warriors. It's for you. They no longer come with meat. They come with iron ropes. Thick. Cold. Made for what you are, not for what you could be. Tyr is not present when the first chain is brought. His throat emits a low, ancient growl. Hospitality is over. The prophecy exacts its price. You rise. The shadow of your body covers the courtyard of Asgard. The first iron ring gleams in the starlight. The gods retreat. Only you remain. Only you know that no iron chain will bind what was born free. They think they are taming a beast. You know they are only forging their own end. The chain falls to the ground with a dry thud. The first test begins now. Chapter 2, The Iron That Does Not Bleed. Feel the cold metal against your fur. It's not ordinary steel. It's lading, forged in the depths of Svartalfheim, heavy as the mountain, cold as the winter of Niflheim. The gods drag you to the stone courtyard. The sound is a deep drag, like the slithering of an iron serpent. They don't look into your eyes. They look at the chain. You need no explanation. The scent of their fear is more eloquent than any rune. Odin stands atop Hliskjulf, his single eye fixed on you, weighing the future in silence. Thor adjusts the belt of strength, his knuckles white. Freyr looks away. They brought strength to test your strength. It's a duel, not a game. And you know that, in the north, duels are not refused. The chain is thrown over your back. The weight crushes the stone, but your muscles respond with an ancient warmth. You stretch. The links creak, groan, resist for an instant. Then, with a dry crack that echoes like thunder, lading shatters. Fragments of iron fly like dead leaves. You shake your mane, letting out a low snort. It's not arrogance. It's simply the truth. Iron wasn't born to contain the wolf. The gods don't celebrate. They recoil. The silence that follows is heavier than the broken metal. They understand now, brute force is useless. If fate demands that you be imprisoned, the prison cannot be of iron. It must be of deception. Days later, they bring Dromi. Twice as thick. Forged with the fire of dwarven forges and tempered in icy waters. The sound of its fall is a dull thud that raises dust. This time, you feel the true weight. Your muscles tense. Claws scratch the stone, seeking traction. You pull. The chain trembles. The links sing a high note of tension. You arch your back, every fiber of your being concentrated on the rupture. The air thins. Time seems to stand still. Then, with a roar that shakes the pillars of Valhall, Dromi shatters. But the effort takes its toll. His flanks tremble. His breath catches. You won, but you felt the pressure of what they are willing to do. They no longer come with iron. They come with whispers. With gazes that weigh down broken promises. You perceive the change in the atmosphere of Asgard. Hospitality was a mask. Now, the mask falls. You are no longer a guest. You are a threat to be contained. And in the Norse mindset, when honor gives way to fear, betrayal ceases to be a sin and becomes a strategy. Tyr still comes. But his steps are slower. His hands, once firm when offering the meat, now tremble slightly. He says nothing. He only looks at you. And in his eyes, you read the conflict, duty to the gods versus respect for the beast. He knows what they are plotting. He knows that the next chain will not be of metal. He knows it will demand a price in blood. You lie on the cold stone, observing the dark sky of Asgard. The stars seem distant, indifferent. The Orlog wove its path long before you were born. The gods race against the loom, trying to cut the thread, but each knot they tighten only strengthens the weave. They think they are saving the cosmos. In truth, they are merely preparing the stage for Ragnarök. A shadow looms over you. It is not Odin's. It is not Thor's. It is Tyr. He extends his hand. Not with flesh. With an empty gesture, a silent invitation to the forest of Lyngvi. A secluded place. An island in the middle of Lake Amsvartner. Where the sound of the world does not reach. They have found a current that cannot be seen. A silk ribbon that weighs more than mountains. Forged from the impossible, the sound of a cat's footstep, a woman's beard, the roots of a rock, the breath of a fish, the saliva of a bird, and the spit of a bear. Gleipnir. Tyr whispers, his voice hoarse, they will ask you to prove your strength again. There is no honor in that. Only fear. You raise your head. The wolf asks for no mercy. The wolf understands the nature of the game. If they want to arrest me, her gaze meets his, golden against human, then they should put their hand over my mouth. The pact is sealed. The betrayal, inevitable. The next chain will not break. It will bite. Chapter 3, The Silk That Weighs Down the World. Feel the impossible lightness of the ribbon between the fingers of the gods. It weighs nothing. It shines like pale silk under the Asgardian moon. But your ancient instinct screams, this is not fabric. This is emptiness. They take you to Lyngvi. The island is bare, surrounded by the dark, still waters of Lake Amsvartner. The Aesir form a silent semicircle. Odin remains motionless, his single eye reflecting the silver thread that glides over the stone like mist. Thor grips Mjolnir. Freyr averts his face. Heimdall watches, his posture rigid, calculating. The chain does not jingle. It does not shine like iron. It simply exists. And its existence is an affront to the logic of the wolf. Fenrir approaches. His paws sink slightly into the damp ground. He sniffs Gleipnir. There is no smell of metal, nor of forge, nor of dwarf sweat. There is the smell of the impossible. The sound of a cat's footsteps, which leave no trace. A woman's beard, which doesn't grow. The roots of a mountain, which haven't been uprooted. The tendons of a bear, which have never bled. The breath of a fish, which has never broken the surface. The saliva of a bird, which has never sung. 6 negations of nature woven into a single affirmation, what cannot be held, binds. He raises his head. The icy air of Lyngvi enters his lungs like a blade. If this is just a thread, his voice resonates, deep, vibrating in the bones of all present, I will break it with a snap of my jaws. But I will not be dragged into the shadows like a cowardly dog. If you want to bind me, one of you must place your hand over my mouth. As a guarantee. As an honor. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the wind of Niflheim seems to hold its breath. The gods exchange glances. No one advances. No one retreats. The price is clear, to capture the wolf, a god must offer meat to fate. Then, a step. The leather creaks. The smell of iron and ancient scars cuts through the air. Tyr. He doesn't speak. He only nods. His right hand, calloused by decades of battle, extends. Firm. Immobile. Fenrir watches. Time bends. He sees the warrior who gave him flesh. The only one who didn't avert his gaze when his teeth grew. The only one who still saw him as something real. And, at the same time, he sees the thread closing. The hand entering. The blood gushing. The betrayal that will be sung by the skalds until the end of time. He knows. Wyrd is not negotiable. It is fulfilled. Even so, he opens his mouth. The jaws separate like portals of bone and ivory. The warm breath meets Lyngvi's cold. There is no malice. There is acceptance. There is the Nordic awareness that destiny is not the enemy, it is the road. Tyr places his hand. Skin meets gum. Human warmth collides with the ancient blood of the wolf. The hand trembles once. Then, it steadies. The gods act. Gleipnir slides over the paws, over the back, around the neck. It tightens. Not with a bang, but with a sigh. The impossible ribbon bites into the flesh, binds the muscle, seals the oath. Fenrir pulls. The earth cracks. The lake ripples. The distant mountains echo the effort. But Gleipnir does not yield. She breathes. She holds on. She is the weight of what was decreed before the first man set foot on Midgard. He understands, then. The chain was not iron. The chain was trust. He closes his jaws. The bone cracks. Warm blood bathes the stone. Tyr does not scream. Only the wind answers. And in that absolute silence, the wolf learns Asgard's last lesson. Honor is the first coin sacrificed to preserve order. Now chained. Now bleeding. Now alone on the island, Fenrir raises his head to the sky. The full moon watches him. A distant howl, from packs that no longer exist, echoes from the north. And in the depths of his chest, something older than fury begins to awaken. Chapter 4, The Silence That Incubates the End. Feel the taste of steel in your mouth. It's not flesh. It's not blood. It's cold, smooth, still. A sword wedged between your jaws, its hilt against the sky and its blade pressing against your tongue. The gods don't rely solely on silk. They rely on the metal that prevents closure, that silences the howl, that transforms their fury into restrained breath. The island of Lyngvi is an exile without a horizon. Lake Amsvartner surrounds you like a black mirror, reflecting a sky that seems to have forgotten how to change seasons. The Gleipnir doesn't tighten violently. It breathes with you. The more your muscles expand, the more your bones lengthen beneath the thick, gray fur-covered skin, the tighter the ribbon becomes. It's a second skin made of paradoxes. Your tendons creak against the impossible fabric. The earth beneath your paws sinks, centimeter by centimeter, year after year. You no longer fight against the iron. The iron has broken. Now, you fight against time. And time, in Asgard, is a lie. Here, it is static. Only the wind howls, carrying the distant scent of damp pine cones, the ashes of Midgard, and the metallic sweat of the blacksmiths forging swords for a war they cannot yet name. You hear the whispers of Yggdrasil's roots. They tremble. Not from weakness, but from anticipation. You know the Norns haven't stopped weaving. They've only changed the rhythm. Their thread hasn't been cut. It's been wound. Prepared. The prophecy isn't a sentence, it's a mechanism. And you are the cog that turns in the dark. The sword between your teeth is a constant reminder. Each breath is a tiny cut into the flesh. Each sip of rainwater that accumulates in the puddles demands patience. The gods thought the blade would break you. They didn't understand that the wolf's silence isn't submission. It's incubation. Norse chaos doesn't scream before acting. It waits. It observes. It accumulates. You remember Tyr. The severed hand. The dark blood drying on Lyngvi stone. There is no hatred in it. There is recognition. He paid the price of honor. He fulfilled the Drengskaper. But Odin paid with cunning. The Allfather, who swore to maintain order in the 9 realms, used the same plot as Loki to ensnare his own grandson. And you, who carried the same restless blood, were the necessary sacrifice. The betrayal was not personal. It was cosmic. And in the fabric of Wyrd, that doesn't make it any lesser. It only makes it inevitable. Loneliness is not empty. It is dense. It is filled by the beating of Hugin and Munin's wings, which sometimes perch on distant rocks, observing. By the creaking of the currents of Jötunheim, where their blood brothers await. By the echo of the sagas that the skalds will sing when the world crumbles. You feel the cosmos tilting. The balance is cracking. The Aesir build walls. They forge armor. They prepare armies. But the end is not an event. It is a process. And you are its engine. Your body continues to grow. The Gleipnir cracks, almost imperceptibly. The sword in your mouth grinds under the constant pressure. The earth yields. You are no longer a trapped animal. You are a geological force. A contained tide. And every tide, however dammed up, one day finds its breach. The wind suddenly changes. It brings a cold that does not come from the north. It comes from below. From the roots. From the earth that trembles without apparent cause. The first snowflake falls upon the black lake. It doesn't melt. It stays. Fimbulvetr doesn't warn with thunder. It warns with silence. And in that absolute silence, you feel something you haven't felt in ages. The ribbon, for an instant, gives way. Just a thread. Just a breath. Ragnarök hasn't begun. But the universe already knows its name. Chapter 5, The River Born from Silence. Feel the dense, metallic scent rising from the stone. It's not water. It's not blood. It's Van, a thick, silvery river that meanders around the island, born from every drop that trickles from the sword embedded in your mouth. Each breath you take feeds its course. Each silence you hold widens it. Time in Lyngvi doesn't pass. It accumulates. Your muscles stretch beneath your thick, gray skin. Your bones creak, adapting to the weight of ages. And the Gleipnir, that ribbon forged from the impossible, responds with a subtle, almost imperceptible adjustment. It doesn't tighten violently. It accompanies. It's a dance between what has been decreed and what refuses to stop growing. The sword between your jaws is still there, an iron bridle against the howl that wants to tear the sky. But you have learned to live with it. You have learned that pain is not a punishment, it is a compass. A cosmic metronome marking the rhythm of the end. While the world outside spins, your children run. Skoll, with fur as black as a starless night, chases Sol, the golden chariot of the sun. Hati, swifter than the winter wind, hunts Mani, the pale moon. You don't see them, but you feel them in your blood. Each of their paw strikes on the earth is an echo in your chest. Each bark is your breath. They are not just wolves, they are extensions of your destiny, arms of chaos that you cannot reach, but which carry the same restless spark. When they bite the horizon and the light fails, it is you who tastes the advancing darkness. The Aesir think that isolation has weakened you. That immobility has tamed you. They are wrong. Solitude does not empty you, it concentrates you. Without hunts, without a pack, without the scent of pine or the warmth of living forests, your mind turns inward. And there, in the darkness of your own chest, you hear the loom of the Norns. They are not loose threads. They are ropes. And they are getting tense. Fimbulvetr doesn't arrive with thunder. It arrives with a long sigh. 3 winters without summer. 3 winters where snow covers the seeds, where brothers turn swords against brothers, where oaths dissolve like ice exposed to the wind. You feel the cold pierce the still waters of Lake Amsvartner. You feel Yggdrasil groan beneath its roots. The world tree is weary. The cosmos is about to turn. You don't hate Odin. You don't hate Tyr. Hatred is a human fire, ephemeral and directed at a face. What you carry is older, it is necessity. You are the cog that only turns when the machine stops working. The gods built a world of order, laws, and walls. But every order generates its opposite. And you are that opposite. Not by choice. By nature. When the blade tears your tongue, you don't spit blood. You spit the future. With each drop that falls into the lake, the river Van widens, reminding everyone that destiny is not negotiable. It flows. And he always finds the sea. Suddenly, a sound cuts through the ice. It's not the wind. It's not the cracking of the earth. It's a song. High-pitched, distant, but unmistakable. Gullingcamby, the golden-crested rooster on the roof of Valhall, has raised his head. The first call. The iron chains of his brothers in Jötunheim crack in the distance. The Gleipnir around his neck trembles. The sword in his mouth vibrates, as if the metal knows its time is up. The wolf raises his head. The howl that has been trapped in his throat for centuries finally finds its way out. And when it does, it's not a cry of rage. It's the announcement of the end. Ragnarök isn't coming. It has already begun. Chapter 6, The Snap That Awakens the Void. Feel the snap. Not of iron breaking, but of reality tearing apart. Gleipnir, that ribbon woven with the impossible, doesn't break with a roar. It sighs. And in that sigh, ages of restraint dissolve like ice exposed to the breath of Muspelheim. The first movement is a spasm. Then another. His muscles, taught from centuries of forced immobility, remember their primordial function. Each fiber contracts against the magical fabric that bound him to the island of Lyngvi. The ribbon doesn't yield violently. It simply yields. Because its purpose was never to hold him forever. It was to hold him until the cosmos was ready to turn. And the cosmos turned. Fenrir rises. The earth cracks beneath his paws like ancient glass. Lake Amsvartner boils with the movement of his body. The sword embedded between his jaws is spat out. The metal flies like a wounded bird, embedding itself in the distant rock with a dry clang that echoes through the 9 realms. For the first time since the Pact of Tyr was sealed, his mouth opens. Not in fury. In breath. The air of Midgard, now icy and heavy with the ashes of Fimbulvetr, enters his lungs like a river bursting through a stone dam. He does not hate the Aesir. He never has. Hatred is an emotion of mortals, born from the illusion that fate could be renegotiated. Fenrir carries the raw wisdom of the North. He is not a punishment. He is the universe's answer to the arrogance of static order. The gods built walls, wrote laws, wove oaths. But every structure that ignores entropy carries within itself the seed of its own dissolution. He is that seed. And now, it germinates. His eyes, golden and ancient, shine with a light that does not come from any sun. It is the reflection of primordial fire, dancing in his pupils. From his nostrils, sparks fly, igniting the humid air. Each step he takes is an earthquake. Each breath, a gale. He doesn't run. He advances. Like the tide that doesn't ask permission to cover the sand. Like winter that doesn't consult autumn before arriving. In the distance, the sky splits. Skoll and Hati finally reach their prey. The sound is of cosmic glass shattering. Sol and Mani fall, and darkness descends upon the realms. It is not an empty darkness. It is a living, dense darkness, laden with the weight of all that has been postponed. Fenrir howls. It is not a call to the pack. It is a warning to the loom. The Norns do not weep. The thread that has been wound for ages now unwinds in a straight line, guiding him to the field of Vgrr. He leaves the island. Gleipnir, now inert, lies on the stone like a dead snake. His children follow him in the distance, voracious shadows against the starless sky. The path is laid out. Not by choice. By Orlog. The river Van, nourished by centuries of saliva and blood, flows freely, meeting the waters that approach from the south. Surtr advances. Loki breaks free from his shackles. The sons of Muspel march. And he, the wolf, walks into the heart of the storm. His footsteps echo in the roots of Yggdrasil. The tree trembles, not with fear, but with relief. The cycle demands its end so that the new may be born. Fenrir is not destruction. He is the harvest. Ahead, the plain of Vgrr opens. Vast. Gray. Awaiting the clash of armies and deities. On the horizon, a familiar silhouette rises. Golden helmet. Gungnir in hand. A single eye fixed on the approaching darkness. Fenrir does not accelerate. He does not hesitate. He simply opens his mouth. His lower jaw touches the cracked earth. His upper jaw tears the starless sky. The space between them is the void before creation. And within that void, destiny waits. The encounter is set. The Allfather does not avert his gaze. The wolf does not change his step. The prophecy breathes. Chapter 7, The Portal Between Jaws. Smell the ash and sulfur. It's not just battle smoke. It's the fabric of the worlds unraveling at ancient seams. The sky, once an arc of steel and fixed stars, is now a torn quilt, through which the flames of Muspelheim and the primordial ice of Niflheim leak. Vgrr's ground trembles beneath his paws. Not with fear. With recognition. He walks. Not like a beast hunting by instinct. Like a river meeting the sea after centuries of damming. Around him, the battle is a hurricane of steel and magic. Thor faces Jormungandr, and the dragon's venom poisons the air the gods breathe. Heimdall and Loki exchange blows that echo like ancient trees splitting in two. Valkyries fall like leaves in the Nordic autumn. But Fenrir does not avert his gaze. His golden eyes are fixed on the center of the plain, where the Wyrd calls him. He feels no anger. Anger is a human fire, ephemeral and directed at a face. Fenrir carries something older, engraved in the runes of destiny before the first man set foot on Midgard, necessity. Each of his steps is the universe's response to stagnation. The Aesir built a world of laws, walls, and unbreakable oaths. But order, when it refuses to yield to the flow, rots. He is the decay that allows the new to sprout. It is not punishment. It is harvest. The wind howls, bringing the echo of memories that are not his, but of the cosmos. Tyr. The severed hand. The honor that cost flesh. Odin. The eye sacrificed at the fountain. The wisdom that bought the end. Fenrir does not judge them. He understands them with the cold clarity of one who has never known illusions. They did what the age demanded, they tried to contain the chaos to preserve what they had built. And he, the chaos, does what the new age demands, he opens the way for what comes next. The betrayal wasn't malice. It was architecture. And all architecture, however solid, has its winter. He stops. The air around him seems to hold its breath. The flames dancing in his nostrils illuminate the dense vapor rising from his mouth. He raises his head. And then, he fulfills what the skalds have sung. His jaws open. Not with a violent snap, but with the solemn slowness of a cosmic portal opening. The lower jaw touches the cracked earth of Vgrr. The upper jaw tears through the dark sky, brushing against the ash clouds that were once stars. The space between them is not empty. It is Ginnungagap reborn within a living being. From his throat, not a howl. From it comes the heat of ancient forges. From his eyes, sparks fly like shooting stars about to reach the ground. He is entropy in the form of flesh and blood. He is the living reminder that no throne is eternal. That no oath withstands time. That even the Allfather must answer to the cycle. But, deep within that vast expanse of open jaws, there is absolute stillness. Fenrir doesn't want to kill. He wants to fulfill. There's a difference mortals rarely understand. Killing is an act of individual will. Fulfilling destiny is an act of surrender to the whole. He surrenders to the loom. He lets the thread the Norns wove before the first breath of life finally be completed. The sound of heavy footsteps breaks through the air. Gungnir shines, even in absolute darkness. Odin approaches. He doesn't run. He doesn't shout. He walks as one who accepted the reckoning long ago. His single eye meets the wolf. There is no accusation. There is recognition. There is the same solemn stillness that Fenrir carries. The wolf lowers its head. The space between its jaws becomes the only path. The prophecy breathes. The universe waits. And then, the first step of the Allfather crosses the line of the inevitable. What happens when order meets chaos is not war. It is reunion. Chapter 8, The Weight of Silence in the Throat. Feel the impact. Not of flesh against flesh, but of ages against ages. The air of VGRR breaks as Gungnir meets the void, and the wolf advances. There is no roar. There is only the sound of destiny closing its jaw. Odin does not retreat. The Allfather raises the spear, the single eye fixed on the approaching darkness. He does not fight to win. He fights to fulfill. His golden armor shines for the last time, reflecting the distant flames of Muspelheim. But the prophecy does not demand a victor. It demands an end. Fenrir opens his throat. The space between the jaws is not a mouth. It is an abyss. It is Ginnungagap breathing within a living being. When he closes, it is not an act of violence. It is an act of absorption. The metal of the spear, the weight of the helmet, the eye that saw everything, the wisdom that bought the world, all is swallowed by cosmic silence. There is no chewing. There is only closing. And the world stops spinning for an instant. Within the darkness, there is no digestion. There is fusion. Fenrir feels no triumph. He feels the weight of carrying what was. Odin does not die as a defeated man. He returns. To the earth, to memory, to the cycle he himself tried to sustain with such fury and wisdom. The wolf understands now, with the icy clarity of the depths, he is not the executioner. He is the vessel. The one who gathers what has come to an end so that the ashes may nourish the new soil. There is no hatred in his chest. There is the grave stillness of one who has fulfilled the oldest oath of the north. Nothing remains. Not even the gods. The skalds will say that the beast devoured the king. But the truth, woven into the roots of Yggdrasil, is deeper. Chaos embraced the weary order. Entropy does not destroy out of malice. It dissolves to renew. Fenrir carries Odin not as prey, but as seed. In its womb, the blood of the Allfather mingles with the cold of the wolf, the fire of the end, the silent promise of a new beginning. Wyrd is not a wheel that crushes. It is a breath that enters and exits. And now, it exits. But the universe doesn't stop with a single act. Odin's body lies on the ground of VGRR, empty, silent. Dark blood mingles with the mud and ashes of winter. And from the horizon, a shadow rises. It is not a warrior god. It is a son. Vidar. The silent one. The one who wore leather and hemp shoes, accumulated in each age for the day when the earth would need to be trodden without making a sound. He doesn't shout. He doesn't carry a spear. He carries only memory and a sharp blade, forged in the silence of centuries. Fenrir turns his head slowly. The weight of what he has just swallowed still vibrates in his entrails. Cosmic satiety is heavy, but fleeting. The loom is not finished. The next thread is already being pulled. Vidar approaches. His steps are firm. His eyes don't ask for explanation. They ask for the wolf's end. Fenrir opens his mouth again. Not to swallow. To find the blade. The cycle demands that the devourer also be devoured. Chapter 9, The Silence That Breaks the Jaw. Feel the pressure. Not on the claws, nor the fangs. On the jaw. A firm, ancient weight, digging into the roof of your mouth. The thick leather, made of scraps kept for centuries, does not tear. It sustains. Vidar does not scream. The Aesir have always been noisy in their fury, but he is the god of silence. The son who waited. The step that does not echo. He drives the boot of burlap and leather into your lower jaw. The material, woven by human patience over ages, resists the cosmic force of your prey. With his bare hands, he grasps the upper jaw. There is no magic here. No shining runes. Only brute force and fulfilled destiny. You do not resist. Not out of weakness. Out of recognition. The wolf that swallowed the Allfather knows its function is finished. The prophecy is a circle, not a straight line. Vidar is not an enemy. He is the next breath in the cycle. His muscles, tensed by centuries of restraint and a single act of devouring, relax. The fury of ages, the isolation in Lyngvi, the river Van, Gleipnir, the weight of Odin in his womb, all quiets. There is a strange peace in inevitability. The ancients of the north did not fear the end, they feared dying without honor. And to die fulfilling the wyrd is the ultimate honor. Vidar's hands pull. Up and down. The flesh yields. The bone cracks. It is not a sound of defeat. It is the sound of a cosmic knot unraveling. The jaw opens beyond its natural limit. Vrrs sky enters through the wound. The darkness within meets the cold light of the end. You feel the air leave forever. Your golden eyes fix on the face of the silent god. There is no hatred. There is mirroring. He fulfills what he must, just as you fulfilled yours. The death of a wolf is not tragedy. It is harvest. The blood flows to Vrrs earth, mingling with that of Odin, with that of Thor, with that of all who have fallen. Each drop is a thread cut on the loom of the Norns. Each breath that ceases is a final note in the saga. Fenrir does not fight against the invisible force that tears him apart. He lets go. Because he knows, with the ancient certainty of the roots of Yggdrasil, that chaos does not rule. He cleanses. And when the last howl transforms into absolute silence, the universe ceases to tremble. The colossal body falls. The ground absorbs the impact. Surtr's fire dances in the distance, consuming what remains. The ice of Niflheim advances, sealing what remains. Ragnarök is not an event. It is a breath. And the final breath is about to be given. The waters rise. The earth sinks. The old world dissolves into foam and ash. But at the bottom of the abyss, something awaits. Not death. Rest. And then, the first green sprout above the ashes. The loom stopped. The thread was completed. What is born from silence? Chapter 10, The River That Returns to the Void. Feel the earth yield beneath your weight. It is not defeat. It is return. The broken jaws no longer ache. Vidar's silence fills the space that was once howling. The colossal body tumbles upon the plain of Vrr, and the ground, already exhausted from ages of war, accepts the impact as a womb accepts a seed. Around, Surtr's fire licks the sky. The waters of Niflheim rise, swallowing valleys and mountains. Yggdrasil trembles, its roots detach from the ancestral stone, and the ancient cosmos crumbles into ash and foam. Fenrir does not watch with fear. He watches with the quietude of one who knows that winter does not kill the forest, it only prepares it. His dark blood mingles with the primordial mud. His breath, once feared, is now only wind among the ruins. He was not a monster. He was the price of balance. The Aesir tried to contain chaos, and in doing so, taught chaos its own form. Now, the cycle closes. There is no blame. There is no victory. There is only the fulfilled orlog. In the traditions of the North, death is not the opposite of life. It is its necessary shadow. Fenrir understands this in the dissolution of his flesh. He carries no resentment towards Odin, nor bitterness towards Tyr, nor hatred for Vidar's silence. He carries the cold clarity of the runes engraved before time. Everything that rises must fall. Everything that falls must nourish the new. His essence does not fade. It dissolves. It returns to Ginnungagap, to the fertile void where the next breath will be given. He is the lesson the gods forgot when building their walls. Order without chaos is stagnation. Chaos without order is destruction. Together, they are the breath of the world. When the waters recede and the flames die down, the earth emerges again. Green. Damp. Intact. There are no ruins. Only ready soil. Lif and Lfrasir emerge from the grove of Hodmimis Holt, protected by the last breath of the ancient forest. Magni and me lift Mjolnir from the muddy ground. Vidar walks among the ashes, the silence in his steps is now peace, not duty. The sun, reborn, warms the skin of the survivors. And in the wind that blows from the newly formed mountains, there is a familiar echo. It is not a howl. It is a reminder. That the wolf was not the end. It was the bridge. That destiny is not a current, but a river. And that even the most feared of Loki's children fulfilled his role so that the world could breathe again. Fenrir rests. Not in darkness, but in the memory of the earth. His body became a mountain. His blood, a river. His howl, the wind that announces the storm and then the calm. The saga doesn't end with him. It begins again with each choice, each oath, each act of courage in the face of the inevitable. This story comes from the Eddas and the Nordic oral tradition, honoring a worldview where chaos and order dance together to weave destiny. If it touched you, comment, what ancestral lesson do you take from it?